home of baseball's Padres and the NFL's Chargers. Tonight, though, the charging will be done on two wheels. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Myers. With me, Dave Despain. We're in San Diego at Jack Murphy Stadium to bring you all the exciting action of Supercross. It's round 3 of the Coors Extra Gold Super Challenge, the Camel Supercross Series. And, Dave, I'm not at all sure that excitement is strong enough to describe the action that we've seen.
Larry, there is a bad case of fever sweeping this stadium, and it's Damon Bradshaw fever. 17-year-old rookie won the series opener. Everybody was shocked. When he made it 2 in a row in Houston, everybody started talking about a new superstar. Nobody's been able to run with Bradshaw on the racetrack. I think at this point, this teenager is probably his own strongest opposition. When you're that age, that kind of success can go to your head. He can't get cocky, and he can't get careless. What he has to be is consistent. Winning races is one thing, but winning championships is a season-long affair.
Well, earlier today we had the chance to talk with Damon Bradshaw and defending Supercross champion Jeff Stanton. Here's what they had to say about consistency.
Last year I had quite a few crashes from charging either from the back of the pack or while I was out front. That was my New Year's resolution, to try to stay on two wheels a little more this year, and I think it's going to come from riding the 250 a little more, and still I'm going to be aggressive, but I think using my head a little more and thinking about the race and knowing I have 20 laps is going to help.
I still see the vets as being right in there as championship contestants. As far as the rookies coming in, you know, they're riding well, but you know, I can't say if they're going to be consistent throughout the whole season. I think the vets will pull off the championships just because of consistency and just the experience. You know, it took me a while to get the experience and learn the ropes, so to say. So, you know, we'll see. Hopefully the vets will be in there. You know, I think I'm considered a vet now. I got a championship under me, so, you know, I'm going to say I'm going to be up there in the long run.
Not included in Stanton's long-range plans was round 2 of this Camel Supercross Series. Houston Astrodome, here on ESPN 1 week ago. Number 17, Larry Ward, dominating early in that event. Another of this great crop of rookies. Here's the kid everybody's been gunning for. Number 8, Damon Bradshaw, zings into second place around the veteran Johnny O'Mara. The two youngsters battle for the lead. Ward trying to hold off Bradshaw. Bradshaw coming through to take the advantage, and that was the last anybody would see of him. And one of the series veterans, well, the former Supercross champ Jeff Ward is an example of the tough times that the guys have been having. Watch as he comes up on number 7, Doug Dubach. Boom! A collision that puts Ward on the ground and Dubach down several positions. Up front, Damon Bradshaw getting lots of opportunity to practice his checkered flag style this year. And behind him, another great young rider emerging as a star, Larry Ward out of Washington.
So the Houston win and 2 in a row for Damon Bradshaw. Dave, he's the guy we've talked most about, but there are some other very good young riders out there.
It's an incredible crop this year of rookie riders. The runner-up in the series opener, Jeff Matasevich, 20 years old. In the second round, the runner-up was also a rookie, Larry Ward. The veterans have been scrambling for the show position on the box, and we haven't yet heard from Mike Kudrowski, another youngster that a lot of people thought would be strong this year.
Very strong. Now the question would have to be, can they keep up the momentum? That's what we've been asking ourselves. We'll find that out. Action coming your way very, very shortly. But first, let's take a look at the track that we've built here in Jack Murphy Stadium.
Now, the starting area here is plenty wide for 20 motorcycles, but it gets narrow in a hurry. If you get there early, you got clear sailing. If you get there late, you'll be playing catch-up all through the main event. All those twists and turns are designed to put the maximum amount of racetrack into the space of a football field. The press releases say 16 million pounds of dirt went into the jumps, moguls, and ruts that will test the best in Supercross here tonight. We'll be back with the heat races right after this.
Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. With me, Dave Despain. We're in San Diego, California at Jack Murphy Stadium for Camel Supercross. It's round 3 of the series. We're shooting for the main events. A lot of action, though, between now and then. You have to qualify to get there.
And it's tough. 60 riders have come here to try to make a 20-rider field for the feature. The elimination works through a series of sprint races. They go into 3 heat races first. The top 5 finishers move directly to the main. Non-qualifiers go into 2 semifinals. From there, we take the top 2. And those who have still not qualified get one more chance. It's called the last chance qualifier. The winner only becomes the 20th rider in the feature. The main event is a war. Getting there is a dogfight.
It all begins with the heat races. You need one of the top 5 positions to move into the main. Eric Keyhole, rider number 19, out front aboard that Honda from Granada Hills, California. He was followed by one of the veterans and former Supercross champion, number 9 on the green Kawasaki, Johnny O'Mara. They call him the O-Show. In third from Palm Harbor, Florida, Ron Tishner. The front-running trio had things their own way in heat race number 1. It opened up a huge lead over the rest of the field. All they had to do was keep it upright, and the main event was theirs. At least the starting positions were there. But watch what happens to Johnny O'Mara on the green Kawasaki.
Pretty tough crash for the O-Show. A guy that's been beat up as many times as he has in his career need not be taking tumbles like this. We'll get another look at it and see what happens. You're looking head on. He tries the triple, which isn't all that difficult. Comes a little short, hits the rear wheel. That throws his weight forward, and he can't keep the handlebar straight. Gets the front wheel into the hay bales and then takes the tumble.
Meanwhile, back to heat race action. Ronnie Tishner in the number 2 position sets his sights now on Eric Keyhole. 1 year ago, the pair of front runners were teammates. They both wore the yellow of Team Suzuki. Keyhole was dropped in the offseason by Suzuki, and he picked up a semi-privateer ride from Honda. So the number 19 motorcycle with Keyhole aboard, something to prove in 1990. And with that outside move, Tishner proved all he had to prove in heat race number 1 as he takes over the number 1 spot. Now the finishing position in the heat race determines the starting pick on the gate.
In fact, Larry, the winner of the fastest heat race has his pick of starting positions. Winner of the second fastest heat picks second, and so on down through the field. The 5th place guy in the slowest heat starts somewhere out in the South 40. So that's the reason these guys all want to win their heat races.
So Ron Tishner does it all in heat race number 1, followed by Eric Keyhole. Mike LaRocco, Team Suzuki, was 3rd. Kerry Mulligan making his first main event of the season 4th. And the Canadian, Carl Valancourt, finishing 5th. In the second heat race, the man they call Chicken, number 20, aboard that lime green Kawasaki, took the early lead. He was followed by a pair of riders, both of them named Ward. The one in second place on the yellow bike, number 17, is Larry out of Washington. And out of California, on the green motorcycle, number 3, the former Supercross champion, Jeff Ward. Age is the big factor here. Jeff Ward is 28 years old. Larry Ward, only 19.
10 years difference between them, and 10 years accounts for a lot of experience. That advantage, of course, goes to Jeff Ward. The two, by the way, are not related. What Larry Ward has going in his favor is that youthful exuberance that's really been the trademark of this series thus far. Which is going to pay off the best, we'll find out here as they get down to it in the battle for second and third here in the second heat.
Well, Jeff Ward simply finds an inside line. He went where Larry Ward wasn't, turned on the throttle just a little bit harder, and he rockets into the number 2 position. Out in front, it's still Jeff Matasevich, rider number 20 from La Habra Heights, California. They call him Chicken. I've asked him on numerous occasions, how did you get that nickname? And to tell you the truth, he won't give me an answer. I'd sure like to know, maybe one day it'll come out. Watch Jeff Ward hit the top of that little table topper and almost lost it. Now that's where the experience comes in. Davey could easily have been spit off the side of the track, and of course that's the danger. Wouldn't even have made the main event.
He not only saved the motorcycle, he really didn't lose that much racetrack to Matasevich. Jeff's letting the crowd know that he's got it won from here because the gap is more than Ward can make up. But it was a great save by Jeff Ward.
I'll tell you, one little slip, though, by Jeff Matasevich as he crosses the finish line, feet off the pegs, and Ward would have been there. Again, the experience versus the exuberance of youth. So it's Matasevich, Ward, Rick Johnson, and rounding out the top 5, Suzuki's Guy Cooper from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Heat race number 3, and here's the man that we've been talking about and everyone is looking for. Right now, Damon Bradshaw running into number 2 position, trying to catch his teammate, Doug Dubach, who's holding down the lead. He's on the number 7 Yamaha. Right behind him, the series defending champion, Jeff Stanton.
All the time we see Bradshaw hanging it out. He's really pumped. He's got incredible momentum after 2 previous victories in this series, winning the opening 2 rounds. He doesn't think there's anybody out there who can beat him. That certainly includes his teammate Dubach. Bradshaw goes by. When you're on a roll, boy, you're tough to beat in this sport.
Well, if you were watching when Bradshaw passed Dubach, Dubach looked to his left. I believe he was looking because he really didn't believe that Bradshaw should have been there. It was not the best line through that jump, and that's what makes Bradshaw so good. It's what set Bob Hanna apart from the field and Rick Johnson and the rest of the champions. They don't wait. Jeff Stanton, meanwhile, is not waiting. He also took the measure of Doug Dubach. Stanton, rider number 1, the defending Supercross champion from Sherwood, Michigan. Now comes Mike Kidrowski, and looks like Dubach is in for a long day.
Dubach never found the rhythm in this one. See the bobble right there as Kedrowski came around the outside. He got a great start. He just never found the pace and couldn't hang on. Kedrowski goes to third.
Meanwhile, for Dubach, the agony of defeat hangs on. Mike Fisher on the inside aboard the Kawasaki, number 23, takes the measure of Dubach, and he moves into the number 4 position, dropping Dubach back to 5th. Bradshaw out in front gets a little bit squirrely, and there we go, Dave. He's got things his own way. You know, he only had to coast around that corner. He only needs to keep it upright, and he's going to take the checkered flag, and he'll win heat race number 3. But Bradshaw is not made that way.
I hope he's not letting success go to his head. He's out there on the ragged edge. He's showing off for people. That's all well and good. He's a brilliant rider, but he's got to be careful.
He does, and I don't think, though, that careful is a word that is in his vocabulary. Bradshaw wins heat race number 3 and almost a laugher. Jeff Stanton, the defending champ, finishes 2nd. Mike Kedrowski 3rd. Mike Fisher 4th. And the man with all of the problems, he led that race at one time, Doug Dubach. And we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. With me, Dave Despain. We're bringing you Supercross action from Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, California. We've gone through 3 qualifying rounds. This is semifinal number 1, looking to fill the 20-man gate for the main event that will be coming your way. Jason Upshaw, the leader, on 53. However, he was passed by the Osho Supercross veteran, Johnny O'Mara. Now, behind O'Mara and Upshaw, number 99, is Dean Matson. He's running 3rd, but that will get you absolutely nowhere in semifinal competition.
O'Mara making up for his mistake in the heat race, running away with this one. That makes this a good battle, and you got to wonder about Upshaw. He's got such a reputation for crashing. As Matson moves up and puts the pressure on, he wants that transfer spot. They're running 2nd and 3rd, and only the second-place man advances.
Well, if you've just joined us, there is one more opportunity to qualify if you do not make it out of the semi. That's the last chance qualifier, but only one rider, the winner, makes it out of that last chance qualifier, so that makes it kind of tough. And there's the pass. Matson takes over the number 2 position. That puts all the pressure on Jason Upshaw. If he finishes 3rd, he has to go to that last chance qualifier. Now, Jason Upshaw will give it everything that he has, but look what happened.
Well, he just came short on what should have been an easy double jump. It looked like he didn't get the momentum from the previous corner. You see the rear wheel hit, seat comes up, hits him in the butt, and he's on his nose.
They call that casing it because the cases of the motorcycle hit the ground, and that's enough to stop the momentum of the motorcycle. O'Mara's momentum, though, not stopped. He took the number 1 position, the checkered flag. He and Dean Matson will make it into the main event, while Miyauchi and Ishibashi, along with Keith Johnson, will have to qualify through the last chance qualifier. Semi-final number 2, looking for another pair of riders to make it into the main event. Fred Andrews from Salem, Ohio, number 18, almost taken out by the man in 2nd place. That's number 34, Ray Somo. Got that front wheel inside of Andrews' rear wheel. Could have been a disaster for both riders, but Andrews managing to hold on. Now watch what happens. In this corner, Somo goes to the inside while Andrews goes way wide. It had looked like the Ohio rider was going to romp home the easy winner, but a mechanical malfunction put him out of it. Instead, it's Ray Somo waving to the crowd. Behind him, Gordon Ward Jr. is running in that number 2 position, rider number 138 on the Honda, but he has company. Here comes Bones Bowen.
Old Bones has fleshed out a little bit since his rookie days when he weighed about 95 pounds and earned that nickname. He's got his hands full. Is everybody in this series named Ward? Here he goes to the inside on Gordon Ward Jr. Bowen makes the pass. He's into 2nd. Somo still leading it up front.
He took the white flag. There's still 1 lap remaining. It was just the last lap that Somo was waving to the crowd. Now, usually a rider that is out front will not do that till he has the affair all but wrapped up. Somo a little bit ahead of himself. He still wins it with Keith Bowen, number 24 from Auburn Hills, Michigan, finishing in the runner-up position. Those 2 riders will go into the main event. John Dowd, Chris Young, Ross Peterson, all headed for the last chance qualifier. In that event, Ross Peterson took the early lead. Now, only 1 rider will make it into the main event from the last chance qualifier. That has to put a lot of pressure on the shoulders of anyone.
Chris Young put an inside move on Jason Upshaw right there. They're both trying to get at Peterson, who's your leader, because it has all come down to 1 spot left in the feature. 3 guys going for it. Good race.
Peterson out front has to be careful. He has to keep it upright in order to take that checkered flag to get the transfer spot. Behind him, the 2 riders can let it all hang out. They can do whatever they want to do because, well, there is no tomorrow. Finishing second, as a matter of fact, in the last chance qualifier is, like they say, kissing your sister. Peterson, the Canadian national champ, wins it. He goes to the main, followed by Chris Young, Jason Upshaw, Ishibashi, and Keith Johnson rounding out the top 5. We'll be back with more Super. Welcome back. You're watching Camel Supercross action from San Diego, California in Jack Murphy Stadium. I'm Larry Myers, with me Dave Despain. We've gone through the qualifying rounds that lead up to the professional main events that you'll see a little later this evening. But right now, let's take a look at some non-professional racing.
Larry, it's non-professional in the sense that these guys don't get paid, no big crowds in the grandstand when they run in the afternoon. But for every one of these youngsters, the dream that they have is to grow up and be a national champion, to get that factory ride, and they'll get out there and race you pretty hard for that opportunity. Boom. Yeah, you see what I mean? Now, the Amateur National Championship program includes 12 qualifying rounds that culminate with 3 days of amateur championship racing at the State Fair Speedway in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And everybody will be there, from the senior citizens right down to the little pee-wee guys. These youngsters are 4 and 5 years old, riding 50cc automatic mini cycles. At the other end of the spectrum, you've got the over 40 senior citizens. Doesn't matter where you fall on that spectrum or somewhere in between. The program is designed to give everybody a chance to compete on a Supercross track, to get together the best amateur talent in all of America. And when you consider that the previous generation of Supercross racers didn't have this opportunity, they had to learn outdoors, didn't get to race in the stadiums, it certainly bodes well for what the next generation of Supercross racers will be all about. Here's a look at the winners in the San Diego Amateur Division Super Challenge.
Amateur Supercross is great. You know, it wasn't too many years ago we could look at Bradshaw, Kedrowski, Larry Ward. They were running in the amateur ranks on Supercross tracks.
And that experience was invaluable for them, Larry, because it prepared them for the big leagues where they're racing now. But the amateur program really goes a lot deeper than that. It's just not Supercross. It includes hundreds of local racetracks all across the country, running every weekend. A lot of these guys start racing when they're 5 and 6 years old. And that farm system brings up a lot of new talent, helps guarantee the future growth of Supercross.
Well, we can take a look at that growth as evidenced by the fact that the entire Supercross series is being broadcast live all the way to Japan. Now, we talked to a couple of our counterparts over in the Japanese booth, and here's what they had to say.
Yeah, I just got a phone call, and they love it. You know, so, dogfight and so many crash, and we never see like that kind of exciting show before.
The international telecast works like this. Video from our ESPN cameras is fed to the Japanese control truck. There, an American crew is on hand to assist with the directing, and that's where the fun begins. The Americans speak only English. The Japanese sometimes have trouble communicating.
Oh, yeah, because we have some problem with the conversation, have a good communication with, you guys, and, we need, a interpreter, and makes an international phone call, and satellite stuff, so many checks, so many things to check, That makes me, maybe sometimes bad. But, after race, it's fun, Now,
to be sure that the viewers in Japan understand what is going on, a pair of Japanese announcers are brought in. Their costumes depict the area of the states from which the broadcast is originating, and they deliver a blow-by-blow account of the action. And do many people tune in?
We're in Jack Murphy Stadium, San Diego, California, the Camel Supercross Series, Round 3. We've gone through the qualifying rounds, the semis, and the last chance qualifier. On the line, the 125cc main event. Now, these are the youngsters. We call them the farm leagues, if you will, of Supercross. The gate has been dropped. The main event is underway, and a back marker down toward the rear of the pack. He'll not be a factor in this one. Ty Davis out in front. He's number 26 out of Hesperia, California. Behind him, the rest of the field starting to stretch it out just a little bit. Among them, Steve Lampson, Mike Young, Kyle Lewis, Jeremy McGrath, Michael Craig, Buddy Antonez. As this race unfolds, we'll be able to take a look at the individual styles and performances of most of those riders. Right now, it's Steve Lampson, number 29, chasing the likes of Ty Davis, number 26. And there's Davis. He's opened up quite a lead already.
Nice to get the gate because you got an open racetrack in front of you. You can pick your line. Lamson has somebody to shoot at now. The rest of these guys are in a dogfight. Number 60 is Antonez. He got a very bad start. Got pushed out into the hay bales. He's back in traffic about 5th or 6th, but he is your series point leader as he goes after Michael Craig. Craig, remember, won the series opener in Anaheim, California.
Now, these bikes are just 1/2 the size of the 250 main that will be coming up very shortly. That's the AMA Supercross National Championship class. The 125s, though, give up nothing when it comes to courage, to guts, and actually lap times on the track. They're able to get in and out of the corners faster than the 250s, and they just give up nothing.
Well, we give up nothing in terms of competition either. Great race here. Your last two winners, number 36, Jeff Emig, won in Houston. Number 43, Michael Craig, won the opener in Anaheim. And you'll just get occasional glimpses of the guy chasing them. That is Buddy Antonez on the yellow number 60, Suzuki. And he's your series point leader on the basis of 2 consistent finishes. So 3 of the top guns in this series are all bunched up in a battle right now, I believe, for 5th, 6th, and 7th spot.
There's your leader, Ty Davis, number 26, out of Hesperia, California. This is easily Davis's best ride to date. Now, he did not get the hole shots in the previous 2 races, Anaheim and Houston, that he experienced here today. And as we have talked many, many times, the start, the hole shot, as we call it in Supercross competition, is everything. Lamson, number 29, aboard that Suzuki, is a second-year pro. He came on strong the latter part of 1989, and he's made his presence felt out here among the 125s.
He's feeling some pressure now as Jeremy McGrath has moved his Kawasaki up into 3rd. Pretty equidistant spacing. There is McGrath running in that 3rd spot and trying to close in on Lamson as Davis tries to stretch the lead up front.
And here comes Ty Davis off that big double jump right behind him, the number 29 motorcycle of Steve Lamson. Lamson just 1 year ago was riding in the amateur rank. In fact, the last race he rode as an amateur at the Loretta Lynn Amateur National Outdoor Championships, he won. So he made the conversion from amateur into pro and has done extremely well, and now making his presence felt in Supercross. But Ty Davis right now is running away from the rest of the field.
I'm very impressed. The kid ran 4th in the opener and came back to 2nd in Houston, so he's a championship contender, and he has just taken this race by the throat, never looked back. He's not always in total control. You saw the little bobble there going into that tabletop, but he has managed to maintain good line and not be rattled by the approach of Lamson and McGrath running 2nd and 3rd. In other words, he's running his race, let everybody else worry about what they're going to do.
Just 1 year ago, Ty Davis, number 26, wore the yellow and blue of Team Suzuki, switching in the offseason to Honda. Apparently not taking too long to get used to that motorcycle.
You make a good point, Larry. He's got a built-in excuse. If he doesn't do well for the first half of the season, he can blame it on the transition to the new bike.
We hear that on occasion. A guy that doesn't do well says, well, I'm getting used to the bike. Watch my smoke in the second half of the year. Some other guy jumps on the same motorcycle off another brand, and he says, this is the greatest mount that I've ever been on. I've not had any trouble switching. So I guess you're right. It's a ready-made excuse.
Let's go back and touch base with the Kawasaki riders. 43 is Michael Craig. Number 90 is Kyle Lewis. He has replaced Kawasaki rider Jeff Emig in what was a teammate battle for 4th. It's still teammates, it's still 4th, but it's Lewis in the middle of it now, and he's putting pretty good pressure on Mike Craig. Craig has not been able to make any moves toward the front.
The pressure is the key. That's what Lewis would like to do. Pressure, pressure, pressure. If he can pressure a mistake out of number 43, Mike Craig, then the job will have been done for him. He will not have to take an unnecessary chance in making the pass. Meanwhile, up front, taking no chances, but getting around the track just as smoothly and as quickly as he possibly can, Ty Davis. And we see Lamson now starting to close just slightly.
He's showing him a wheel now and then, and that's good. That's what he needs to do, is let Ty Davis know that he's there. Get that wheel up alongside, even rev the engine a little bit going into the corner. Just make some noise, make some fuss. Let him know that he's not out on a Sunday cruise right here. What's happening is Davis is taking it all in stride. He's not letting it rattle him. See how smooth he is over that tabletop?
Now, Lamson has had the opportunity for the past several laps to study the lines of Ty Davis, and he's using those lines you're never going to make the pass if you follow the guy in front of you. And that's a trap that many younger riders fall into. They see the guy in front of them going faster, they pick up his lines and stick with him, and that will not get you the pass.
What you want to do is use his good lines to gain on him. Try to do what he's doing right to get close. But then when you get close, you got to get off his rear wheel. You got to start doing something. You got to start creating some action. And the problem for Lamson is as soon as he gets close, Davis looks back, gasses it up, and says goodbye.
He has complete control of the race. And we'll be back with more 125cc racing right after this. At Jack Murphy Stadium for round 4 of the Camel Supercross Series. This is Ty Davis, number 26. He's leading the 125cc main event. Davis took the whole shot at the outset. He's not been challenged. Behind him, though, a battle raging for the number 2 position.
Got a lapped rider in there for just a moment, but it's number 29, Steve Lamson, trying to hold off Jeremy McGrath on the Kawasaki. They've been second and third all the way. Now they've closed it up and made a battle out of it, and the guy who's trying to make the moves here is McGrath. Neither of them has threatened Davis, save one brief excursion by Lamson up to Davis' rear wheel, but it's getting hot for second. There's the pass inside. Make the new man in second spot, Jeremy McGrath.
McGrath aboard that Kawasaki, number 125, comes out of Sun City, California, and Pollock Pines, California, is home for Steve Lamson, number 29. Davis, meanwhile, from Hesperia, California, continues to virtually ride unscathed here. There's no one within his sight, and I don't really understand how the guy's getting around the track that fast.
Well, he's got to deal with back markers. You saw the 404 guy. He's a lapper. He's down a lap, and that's the biggest risk for Davis right now. Davis is just being real smooth, and that's been the key for him. You mentioned earlier the 125 motorcycles. The trick to riding this bike is to keep it wound up. You got to keep the RPMs way up high and stir the gearbox a lot to keep the revs up. They don't have the torque of the 250s, so you got to rely on RPMs to get you around. That means you got to be real smooth, and Ty Davis is doing that. This kid says he likes the 125 class.
Oh, I think it's a great idea to jump in the 125 class just because the 250s are loaded with the factory riders. They've more experience, and us younger guys, you know, we don't have the experience as they do. And I think it's a kind of you know, it's going to the 125 class. I think it's just a better way to get warmed up for the big boys.
And the way Ty Davis is riding here, the big boys are right around the corner. He'll make that switch to the 250 class probably next year, and it doesn't look to me like he's going to have much of a problem. Ty Davis from Hesperia, California. He's led this one since the drop of the gate.
You notice that blue flag being held to the back markers. We mentioned them earlier. They're really, trouble here for Ryan Hughes. He has bit the dirt here and is picking his motorcycle back up. He was one of those guys back in the back with a pack when the bike got away from him. And that's really the only obstacle for Davis now, because otherwise he appears to have this thing won.
You mentioned earlier the blue flag, and there we saw it again as Davis come off the top of that finish line jump. The blue flag tells riders that are being lapped that someone is coming up behind you. It simply means don't race with them. They're a lap ahead of you, and get out of their way, frankly. Now here's the battle for the number 5 position. Kyle Lewis aboard that green Kawasaki. Right behind him, the series points leader in this 125cc Western region, Buddy Antunez aboard the Suzuki.
Antunez hadn't gotten much going here tonight. He's been very consistent up until now in the previous series races, but tonight he just doesn't seem to have it dialed. He's gotten close to Lewis now. Maybe that'll give him some momentum, but remember, they're racing for 5th and 6th. It's a long way from the lead.
He doesn't seem to be too happy or comfortable out there, Dave. He's putting the Suzuki into places where it shouldn't be, and it's coming down at funny angles. It could be the suspension is dialed in just a hair off one way or another, and that's enough to throw him off his timing.
What you have to do is push that much harder to try to compensate. If the setup is wrong, you'll try. See there, he's just out of shape all over the racetrack. I think you're right, Larry. I don't think the bike is quite dialed in right. He's not comfortable. As a result, he's making mistakes. But he's challenging Lewis here.
That's what you have to do. The good ones, the guys that lead series. And he goes down. He tried to come to the inside, and I'm not sure just what happened. Let's go back and take another look at that one.
Two bodies cannot occupy the same space at the same time. It's a rule of physics that I think is what applies right here. What Antunez was doing was just trying to seize one of the few opportunities that he he had. He saw an opening there. He thought he could get alongside Lewis, but the door closed before he got there. Bad break for the series point leader.
Meanwhile, Ty Davis just keeps chugging along. He's missing a lot of good race action behind him. However, I don't think that he even cares. You know, if he could keep her upright on two wheels, find that checkered flag, I think that he would give up a lot of race watching in the future. There's the white one. That indicates 1 lap remaining.
Hey, if you got him beat, go ahead and kill him. Make a rout out of it. It's pretty unusual in this class to see that. But Davis is not the least bit concerned about interval. He's found his lines, he's found his rhythm, and he's just going to ride this thing home a big winner.
And in the process, look at this. He's going to lap a couple of awfully good riders. Last week's winner, number 36, Jeff Emig. And in front of him, the series points leader, Buddy Antunez. We saw Antunez crash just a couple of moments ago, and Antunez is having trouble getting back up to speed.
This is going to make a major shakeup in the point standings, too, because Davis in red was second ranked behind Buddy Antunez, the man he just lapped. With Antunez a lap behind and taking that blue move over flag, Davis is going to inherit a big point lead here. He was fourth in the opener, second last week, and he'll win it big this week.
And a big wave to the crowd. This is the time, Dave, when you start hearing funny noises come out of the engine. You know, you only have a couple of laps to go, or a couple of corners, I should say. No noises there, though. He took the checkered flag, no problem. Davis wins it. Jeremy McGrath in the Kawasaki will finish second. Steve Lamson third. Michael Craig will take the number 4 spot. And rounding out the top 5 is Kyle Lewis aboard that Kawasaki.
And here's what it did to the point standings. Davis and Antunez changed places. Lewis moves up to third, a tie between Craig and Emig for 4th. Looking at the lineup of talent in the 125 class, I think we can safely assume that on a weekly basis that scoreboard is going to be juggled.
Bet your paycheck on it, Larry. These 125 kids are motivated. They all want to be factory salaried motocross stars. It's every youngster's dream, and a good way to guarantee that future career advancement is to finish in the top 5 in the regional championships. That's why it's such an exciting class.
It is exciting, and speaking of excitement, let's go 1 year ago to Jack Murphy Stadium and see how that main event unfolded.
A year ago here, the stories were 2, the hometown hero and our first glimpse of the superstar of 1990. 40,000 people were on hand in this stadium last year, all screaming and going crazy as the gate dropped for the San Diego round of the 1989 Camel Supercross Series. The biggest share of that crowd were hollering for the magic man of Supercross, Team Honda's Rick Johnson from nearby El Cajon. Kawasaki's Mike Fisher may have thought the cheers were for him because he rode the race of his life. Took the whole shot, didn't have any intention of giving it up, and as the field sorted out, he was the leader, followed by Honda rider Jeff Stanton, then the battle for third. Damon Bradshaw, one of his few 250 appearances last year, and the hometown favorite Johnson. With 6 laps down, the front-running quartet held their position. Lap 7, it all came apart. The leader, Fisher, flew off the end of the racetrack over the retaining wall. He wasn't seriously hurt, but he was out of contention. With that, Stanton got on the gas, started pulling away, and that left the ball in Johnson's court. The defending series champ had already won the first 3 rounds of the series. A win in round 4 would not only pad his point lead, but perhaps more importantly, tie him with the legendary Bob Hurricane Hanna in career Supercross wins at 27. Johnson hounded this new kid. Bradshaw studied his lines, made the pass. The momentum and the crowd both on his side. Johnson easily caught Stanton and just as easily moved by. By the time that checkered flag came out, Johnson had opened a 14-second lead over Stanton, who held on to finish second. Bradshaw, who would eventually win the 1989 East Coast 125 championship, finished third and served notice in the future aboard a 250. He would be a force to be reckoned with.
Well, the future for Damon Bradshaw is now here in San Diego. Bradshaw is looking for win number 3. Johnson, meanwhile, injured last season, is struggling.
Well, the problem was last week on Wednesday, I went to see a doctor in California, in San Diego, who's one of a wrist specialist, and he told me that his words were my wrist was trash and that just damaging it worse, that probably the only way to make it feel any better was to fuse it. And with that thought in mind, I thought I'm not going to be. It's not going to get any better. I'm not going to be able to win races. That I might as well retire. And that evening, I was planning on retiring, but I went and seen Dr. Kiefer in Wyoming, and he gave me a lot of hope and told me that there's things that we can do to rejuvenate it, and that not to worry, but somewhere down the road I'm going to have to go for reconstructive surgery, maybe fuse it, maybe something else, but right now there's nothing I can do to help it, just keep stretching it and taking some anti-inflammatories to keep it from swelling up, but I'm not going to retire because I got too many things I needed to do.
You know who Damon Bradshaw is?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you think he's going to do tonight?
Good.
He's won 2 in a row. You think he can do it again?
Yeah.
How about RJ?
Yeah.
You know who Damon Bradshaw is? No idea. How about RJ? Ricky Johnson? No. You know what? Who are you rooting for tonight?
Ricky Johnson.
Everyone, I'm Larry Myers. With me, Dave Despain. We're bringing you the action from the Camel Supercross Series. This is in Jack Murphy Stadium. It's round 3. The starting gate for the main event about to drop, and there it goes. And we're underway with Supercross action.
Everybody on their feet. They want to see if Damon Bradshaw can make it 3 in a row against the best in the Supercross business. And there he goes, taking a great line through the first couple of corners and into the lead. This kid is phenomenal.
Since the series opened about 3 weeks ago in Anaheim, California, it's been a battle between the rookies and the veterans, with the rookies coming out on top. Right now, Damon Bradshaw is leading as we look back through the pack, and right behind him, Jeff Matasevich, another rookie, and behind him comes a couple of veterans. Rider number 3 was Jeff Ward. We had just a glimpse of him, and the defending champ has moved to... Oh, and look, we've had a tangle on the track already in the first lap. 2 riders down. Johnny O'Mara, number 9. Ronnie Tischner, number 6. Both riders are up, but they're out of this one.
Well, that takes 1 each out of the veterans fraternity and the youngsters fraternity. Here's a rematch of the first race of the year. We've got Damon Bradshaw, number 8, leading. His pursuer is Jeff Matasevich, number 20. They tangled, they bumped, they banged handlebars. They did everything but knock each other off the racetrack in the opening round of this series. I got a feeling this will not end peacefully.
You know, this is a replay of what the season has been all about so far. We've got a couple of rookies out front. We've got a couple of veterans running 3rd and 4th. The veterans have said time and time again they're going to play it cool. They're going to wait for the rookies to wear themselves out, and they'll be around to pick up the pieces, and that's what we're looking at.
Most notable among that group, of course, was the defending series champ, number 1. We got a glimpse of him a moment ago. Jeff Stanton said, hey, I'm not going to race my brains out in the first couple of races. This is a long season. Here is Stanton coming at you, running 4th in the pack led by these 2 kids.
Now what they're counting on, all they've not said, there goes Matasevich to the inside. Matasevich and Bradshaw side by side with an inside line around that corner. Jeff Matasevich, La Habra Heights, California, has taken over the number 1 spot.
Matasevich is tired of Bradshaw winning everything in sight. He's tired of all the talk about Bradshaw. He looks in, he knows the opening is there. He's committed on the double. As Bradshaw goes up on the rail, he simply takes the good line away. Nice, smooth, clean move by Matasevich.
This is exactly what we saw in the opening round, Dave. Jeff Matasevich coming from off the pace. He was running back in that number 2 position, past Bradshaw to take the lead. Now, Bradshaw was content in Anaheim to follow maybe 5-6 laps, somewhere in that area, and then he took the lead right back, and Matasevich had to settle for the number 2 spot when the night was over.
What we have not seen from Matasevich this year is the ability to go 20 fast laps. He always either starts slow, works his way up, and then fades, or starts with Bradshaw, gets in trouble, and drops off the pace. That's been the story in the 2 previous events. He wants to prove once and for all he can beat Damon Bradshaw, but Damon's right back on his rear wheel. I'm not 100% convinced yet he can do it.
Well, I'm sure that Jeff Matasevich would argue that point, because Matasevich is convinced he and the rest of the rookies can whip the world.
I just think that us just coming up are a little more aggressive, or a little more hungry, where the older guys, they've been in it a while, and I'm not saying they're getting burnt out, but I think we're just willing to try new and different things.
Meanwhile, new and different things have put Jeff Stanton up to the number 4 position. He's the defending Supercross champ. But out in front, it's number 20, Jeff Matasevich. Right behind, Damon Bradshaw. Bradshaw is going to school. And it looks like there, Bradshaw's. The lesson has paid off as Bradshaw went to the inside and has regained the number 1 spot. He come up over the top of that jump and looked over, and I don't know, was that a look of contempt, or what was he trying to say?
I'm not sure, but I think it was as much as anything just saying to Matasevich, hey, I can whip you anytime, any place I want to, and that's just going to make Matasevich crazy.
And we'll have more right after this. If you've just joined us, welcome to ESPN and the Camel Supercross Series in San Diego. We're in Jack Murphy Stadium. That's Damon Bradshaw on the white bike, number 8. He's your leader. Right behind him on the green Kawasaki, number 20, Jeff Matasevich. Bradshaw took the lead from Matasevic. Oh! Bradshaw gets sideways and goes down. He's starting to run back now. He's starting to limp. Bradshaw just got thrown off his motorcycle, pitched to the ground. Let's hope he's all right. Dave, let's take another look at that.
Kid developed a reputation last year for crashing while leading, just too much throttle in a spot where he didn't need it. The thing came completely sideways, and when it hit the ground, it was all over.
So that puts the lead right back in Jeff Matasevic's court, but he has more trouble. Jeff Ward, his teammate, is right behind him. Now, Ward is the wily veteran. He's the one you got to watch in this race right now. Matasevic had the lead a short while ago. He gave it up to Bradshaw. I have to think that he's a little bit on the tired side.
Quick update on Bradshaw's situation. He has pulled off the racetrack. That may indicate that he's hurt, because typically these guys will jump right back on, get back into the action, raises big questions about the future of Damon Bradshaw. Question about Matasevic. Can he keep it together to the finish and beat Jeff Ward, number 3?
Well, we'll try to get a handle on Bradshaw's condition before this telecast is over. Meanwhile, the pressure being applied by 2 riders on Matasevic. One, the past national champion, his teammate, number 3, Jeff Ward, and right behind him, now cropping into the picture, Jeff Stanton, the defending champ. Both of those riders are on the gas and pressuring Matasevic.
Interesting how the focus changes. All of a sudden, these guys look like maybe they have been playing a waiting game. The cagey old veterans.
Whoa, look at that, Dave. Jeff Ward got sideways on the racetrack. I have no idea what caused that. He just shot sideways off to his left into the bales. The bike came down on top of him. Now Ward is all right. He's picking the bike up. He wants to get back into this to salvage whatever points he possibly can. Let's go back and take another look at that.
Well, the easy conclusion is that the motocross demon reached down and slapped Jeff Ward out of the saddle, because there's no obvious reason at first why he goes sailing through the air like this. What a shot he took. If you go back and look at it very slowly, you'll see he's trying to jump into the gap on the left-hand side of your screen between those staggered whoop-de-doos. He catches the left edge of the whoop, and that throws the front of the motorcycle back to the left. The bike hooks up and just shoots out from under him, and he is history.
History indeed as far as winning this race is concerned. He's back on the track, and like I said earlier, he'll salvage whatever he can. Meanwhile, Jeff Matasevic, number 20, continues to lead, but he has a new nemesis behind him. Rider number 1, the defending champion, Jeff Stanton, has moved into contention.
Now, all of a sudden, Stanton's preseason strategy, when he said he was going to ride conservatively for the first couple of events, let things shake down, and then make his move, begins to look like pure genius, because Damon Bradshaw, the young hotshot, has crashed his brains out here 3 or 4 laps ago, and Stanton sitting there in second spot looks like championship property.
You know, if you're Jeff Matasevic, what's running through your mind? First, you had Damon Bradshaw on your rear wheel. You got rid of him. Then it was Jeff Ward on your rear wheel. He's gone bye-bye, and now he turns around and looks, and all he sees is that big number 1 staring him in the face. He's got to be thinking, where are these guys coming from? I can't go any faster. And the question crops up in my mind, is Matasevic tired? If so, he's going to make a mistake before this one is over. We can only watch, wait, and see.
Keep in mind that this has now become the battle for the Camel Supercross point lead. With Bradshaw on the sidelines, either Matasevic or Stanton is most likely to come out of here with the lead, and it'll depend on the order they finish on the racetrack.
Well, Damon Bradshaw will be given credit for a 19th place finish. Keith Bowen dropped out of the race before Bradshaw. There goes Stan to the inside. That's the same spot that Bradshaw passed Matasevic in. Now, Stanton, you remember, was off the pace when that happened, but you can bet that he went to school on that Bradshaw-Matasevic pass. He waited, he watched, and he made the identical move. So Matasevic made the same mistake twice. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. Round 3 of the Camel Supercross Series is winding down. We're in Jack Murphy Stadium, San Diego, California. That's your leader, Jeff Stanton, and here is the battle for the number 3 position. Larry Ward on the outside is being passed. Mike Kidrowski, number 11 from Canyon Country, California, takes the measure of Ward, and he'll inherit the number 3 spot.
Among all these youngsters this year, number 11, Kidrowski, is the one we really haven't heard much from. He was the 125 national outdoor champion last year, but in Supercross this year, he has yielded the spotlight to the likes of Ward, number 17, who was the runner-up at Houston a week ago, and of course the guy who's running out front, Jeff Matasevic, who's been a front runner all year. Give Mike LaRocco a call. Number 10 is up to 5th.
Both LaRocco and Kidrowski have run extremely fast all year. They've been the victim of some unfortunate breaks. They fall right off the starting line, or they get into a first corner crash. And I'd have to say in their defense that most of the unfortunate breaks have not been their doing. But barring any other unforeseen incidents, we're down to about a lap and just a few corners left. Stanton is going to run away and win this one, but the battle for the number 2 position as the white flag comes out is very much in doubt. But Tasevich has all of the company he needs right behind him. Mike Kidrowski. Behind Kidrowski comes Larry Ward, and then Mike LaRocco. 2, 3, 4, 5, and you could throw a blanket over him.
A couple of these guys get to banging handlebars, and one of those 3rd or 4th place guys could shoot through. Here comes Ward trying to make a move. This is a great race for second with just about a lap to go.
While we watch the action, we would like to say thank you to a couple of groups of people. One, of course, the staff here at the stadium. They've made our life and job a lot easier. And the Mickey Thompson Entertainment Group, MTEG, they've made this telecast possible.
Thanks, too, to the American Motorcyclist Association, sanctioning body for the race and for providing the opportunity to bring these kids up through the ranks. They're still the story of Supercross 1990.
And look at the story on the track. Here's Stanton. He's headed for the finish line and the checkered flag. He takes it. Behind him, though, that battle is still raging. But Tasevich has got the wheels out in front, and he's going to hold on to the number 2 position for the 2nd time this year. So the veteran wins it, but behind him, a whole herd full of rookies. But we'll take a look at the finishing positions, and you'll see what I mean. It's Stanton out front, Jeff Matasevich in the number 2 position, Kidrowski 3rd, Larry Ward 4th, and rounding out the field, the 4th rookie in the top 5, Mike LaRocco.
Johnny O'Mara, Guy Cooper, Rick Johnson, Mike Fisher, and Ron Tishner round out the top 10. And in victory lane, Jeff Stanton looks like he's done a day's work.
Yeah, I did, but I tell you, the strong will survive, and you know, a lot of the top riders fell out, but the number 1 rider didn't fall out, and that's what it's going to take this year to win a championship. I don't care what anybody says; it's going to take consistency. All those guys can fall out, but you know, you see who won. The number 1 plate won tonight.
And the win tonight gave Jeff Stanton this lead in the series. Jeff Matasevich will be in the number 2 position, followed by Bradshaw, Ward, and LaRocco. The future of Bradshaw is the question.
Larry, if you want a prediction, I think Damon Bradshaw will be back quickly for 3 reasons. 1, these kids are in great shape. They're excellent athletes. 2, Yamaha and the Bradshaw family will see that he gets the best care, the best sports medicine treatment to get him back into action. 3, and most important, his own drive, his determination to get back out there and get on the horse that threw him.
I'd have to agree with that analysis. And, you know, if you take a look at the point standings, he got no points here at Jack Murphy Stadium. However, he's not that far out of the lead. So he'll be back. He may not ride 100%, but he'll ride for whatever he can get. And if you'll tune in to ESPN next week, join us at the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington. Hopefully you'll see Damon Bradshaw back on that horse that threw